Hey, good evening, everyone. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir, we can hear you.
Good. Let me just leave a message on the group and then we'll start in a few minutes. Okay, good evening, guys. There are a few more guys who are supposed to join. So let's give them a few more minutes and then we will start.
Sure, sir.
Okay, guys, I think all the students are here now. So let me just go to the slides. Okay. All right, so welcome back, guys. Yesterday we started the ISO 39001 Road Safety Management System Lead Auditor course. And as we discussed yesterday in this training, we're going to go through the ISO 39001 standard, and we're also going to cover the auditing standard as well, which is 19011, and the conformity assessment standard for ISO as well. It's important to understand the auditing techniques because a lead auditor course isn't complete without the appropriate auditing techniques. And also, we need to understand how conformity assessment works. So that's why we've included the other two standard as well in ISO 39001 lead auditor course. So we discussed some basic definitions yesterday. We discussed about the certification cycle. We discussed the certification process and the role of certification and accreditation bodies. We also discussed the PDCA model, and it's important to remember that the PDCA model does not only apply to ISO 39001, it applies to almost every management system standard, whether it be 9001, 14001, 45001. All of them are based on the same model, which is known as the continuous improvement model or the PDCA model or PDCA cycle. Okay, so we discussed about the various clauses of ISO 39001, which include the context of the organization. Then we have leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. So we covered the context of organization yesterday. Now we're going to go through the remaining clauses of the 39001 standard today. Okay, so context of organization was covered. All right. So clause number 5 is about leadership and commitment. So basically, in this clause, the standard requires the top management to demonstrate adequate leadership and commitment towards road traffic safety management, and they can do this in various means. Why do we emphasize so much on the management commitment? It's very important to understand that whenever you want to get things done, you cannot get it done without the support or the commitment from the management. Okay, in health and safety management as well, we talk about management commitment, leadership, leading by example. Okay, in environmental management as well, we talk about commitment from the
अस्सलाम
management.
वालेकुम संगा
Walaikum.
जल्ले उस्ताद युद्रे धने राका
Zia, please mute your microphone, please.
sorry
No issues. Khair de. So basically, whenever you talk about any kind of management system, that management system cannot be successful without the support of the management, without the commitment of the management. Why is that? Because management controls the resources, they control the finances. If the management is not willing to invest any money in road traffic safety, then obviously you're not going to succeed. If the management is not willing to give you any resources to manage road traffic safety, then you're not going to be able to manage road traffic safety. So this is very, very important to get your management on board. Now, let's say if you're in an organization, I think all of you guys are road safety officers, right? Or majority of you are. How would you get your management on board? How would you get their commitment? What would you do as a health and safety professional, as a road safety professional? What would you do to get the management on board? How would you get their commitment? Anybody?
We will emphasize the risk associated in this road safety.
Very good. You will emphasize on the risks associated with road safety. So you can arrange various sessions or meetings with the management, and you can make them aware of the losses, the loss of life that takes place if road safety is not managed properly. Now, there, in my experience personally, most of the time management is concerned with making money. So if you talk to the management in a language which they understand, then you are most likely to gain their support and their commitment towards whatever you want. Okay. And that language is the language of money. Okay. So if you can tell them that we are losing so much money because of road traffic accidents, We are losing so much money in terms of insurance premiums. We are losing so much money in terms of the medical expenses of the people being injured in incidents. Okay. And if you convince them that you can save all of this money, save all of these losses by just a small investment, that is when you will get the management on your side. So it's very, very important to talk to people in a language which they understand. That's my personal experience because I had to implement the carbon footprint reduction program in my organization. Okay. And obviously, wherever there is the management is asked to spend money, they usually say no. But how did I get them on board? I basically prepared a business case, okay, in which I identified how much energy we were consuming every year, how much paper waste was being generated every year, how much water we were using every year, okay, and I put this all into financial terms, okay, and then I discussed as part of our carbon footprint reduction program, we will be able to save this much money in terms of energy conservation. Okay, we will save this much money by reducing the use of paper, and we will make this much money from the paper we can recycle. So by preparing that business case, I got the support of the management. So if you guys want the support of the management, you need to talk in a language which they understand, which is financial terms. If you can get them to understand that your initiative is going to make you money in the long run, then definitely they will be on board with you. For example, if you want to go for ISO 39001 certification for your organization, okay, is your management going to spend 10, 15,000 dirhams on that? Most likely not. But if you convince them that this 10 or 15,000 dirham investment is going to most likely earn you a project or a deal with a major client because you have a 39,001 certified management system, then they will start listening to you. Okay. So you need to talk to the management in a language which they understand in order to get them on board. Now, management obviously they must be involved and they must demonstrate their commitment and leadership for a road traffic safety management system to succeed. How can the management do that? The first and foremost thing you can get your management to do is to endorse the road traffic safety policy. Okay, so this is a requirement under the standard. In fact, you must have a road traffic safety policy in order to conform with this standard requirements. Okay, so the road traffic safety policy must be available, and you need to set certain objectives as well. So the management will ask you, okay, we're developing road traffic safety management system. What are we going to get out of it? What are our objectives? So you need to establish smart objectives. Make sure you have measurable objectives, which you can demonstrate later on to the management that you are achieving those objectives as well. There is no point in setting objectives which you cannot track or measure. So you need to, when you set objectives, you need to show the management that you are achieving those objectives as well. Okay, so you also need to make sure that the road traffic safety management system is integrated to the rest of the management system of the organization. And basically, you need to tailor it or customize it to the company's needs and whatever resources you have available. If you're going to establish a road traffic safety management system and you're going to be asking for additional resources to do this, additional resources to do that, that will put the management on the back foot. So you need to make sure when you're designing the road traffic safety management system that it is integrated into your existing management system and utilization of existing resources is maximized. Obviously, yes, you will need certain additional resources for your road traffic safety management system, but you need to minimize additional resources so you can get the management on board. Establish a long-term RTS goal to avoid fatalities and serious injuries in traffic accidents. Um, it's very important to understand how you're going to set your objectives. Okay. Usually you set your objectives and targets based on two things. You either set your objectives and measure your objectives against your previous performance, or you measure your performance, your targets and objectives against a benchmark. Okay. For example, there are international benchmarks available. The IOGP, the International Oil and Gas Producers Organization, they publish their statistics, including fatalities, road traffic accidents, and everything. You can benchmark your performance against them, or you can benchmark your previous performance as well. So you can compare your current performance with your previous performance and determine how you are performing. So setting objectives is very, very important. You need to identify what your main goals are, what your objectives are, and then work towards achieving those objectives. Um, Management obviously needs to be involved in all of this process. So if the management is endorsing your road traffic safety policy, it means they are on board with you. They are demonstrating their commitment. And if the management is providing you resources, that is another way of their them demonstrating their commitment towards road traffic safety management. Management signing on to your or endorsing your objectives and targets that you have set for road traffic safety. That is also another way of the management demonstrating commitment towards road traffic safety. Um, Make sure you create a road safety system in order to accomplish the designated RTSMs or objectives. Sorry, they covered that. Use a process approach with transparency and collaboration to obtain intended RTS results. So definitely, you need to monitor and measure your road traffic safety performance and make sure that you are achieving your desired results as well. And these results must be shared with the management. So these are the various ways that the leadership and commitment towards road traffic safety can be demonstrated. Okay, so we discussed that we need to make sure that when we set objectives, those objectives need to be smart. What do we mean by smart objectives? Smart objectives stand for specific, S is for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for relevant, and T for time bound. What do we mean by specific? By specific, we need to make sure that the objectives that we are setting, they are specific towards our road traffic safety management system. Okay, so you cannot set objectives which are aimed at reducing environmental incidents for your road traffic safety management system. They need to be specific towards your road traffic safety management system. Okay, then they need to be measurable. What do we mean when we say measurable? You can only measure something when it is quantified. Okay. Quantifying things and giving a number to things is the way you can measure something. You can measure your objectives. Okay. So it's very, very important that your objectives are measurable. If your objectives are not measurable, you can never say whether you have achieved them or not. Okay. Let's say, for example, I'll give you a one example. If I set an objective that I will reduce my road traffic accidents, is that a smart objective or not, guys?
Yes, smart, sir. It's a
No, sir.
smart.
I will reduce my incidents. Is that smart?
No, sir.
No. Why is it not smart?
Because you did not set a target by how much you will reduce it.
Exactly. I have not given any quantification. I have not quantified how much I'm going to reduce my road traffic accident frequency rate. Okay. So that's why this objective is not measurable. So if I rephrase it and I say that I will reduce our road traffic accident by 10%. Now that is a measurable objective, but it is still not smart. Why? I haven't mentioned the whether the time duration. Okay, so if I say that I will reduce my road traffic accidents by 10% within the year 2025, then that becomes a smart objective. It is specific because I'm telling that I'm going to reduce road traffic accidents. It is measurable because I gave a quantity which is 10%. It is achievable. I didn't say I'm going to reduce them to zero. I didn't say I'm going to reduce them to by 100%. So it is achievable, it is relevant to road traffic safety, and it is time bound because I mentioned that I will do it within the year 2025. Now that objective is a smart objective. And with all due respect to everyone working in ADNOC and all of these companies who have target zero, that is an absolute absurd objective. That is not a smart objective. There is no way that zero target is achievable. Um, there's a huge argument behind this. Is a very gray area in which people raised a lot of discussion. But as a true professional, if you understand health and safety, if you understand statistics, if you understand mathematics, you will understand what the term achievable means and when you say target zero. So it's very important to gauge what you can achieve and do not set unrealistic targets. If you are setting unrealistic targets, you are setting yourself up for failure. Do not set unrealistic or unachievable targets. Okay. So you need to make sure that the objectives that you set are smart, and the objectives should align with your road traffic safety policy and your road traffic management system. Okay, here's a small exercise for you guys. I'm going to ask you to give me a few examples of smart objectives. Now, you guys, let's say, if you let's think about the organization that you work for, okay? And in that organization, let's think of at least one smart objective for your organization. And I'm going to go around the table and I'm going to ask you one by one, okay? So set one smart objective for your organization. I'll give you a small hint at what kind of objectives you can set. You can set objectives related to traffic incident rates. You can set objectives related to driver performance and behavior. You can set objectives related to vehicle condition and maintenance. You can set objectives related to compliance with legal requirements, journey and fatigue management, environmental continuity impact, and incident reporting as well. So these are all road safety related objectives that you can set. So I want you guys, each of you, to set one, at least one smart objective, keeping these main objectives that we've just discussed, keeping that in mind. Think about it for a few minutes. You can type it in the chat box, okay? Or I can ask you one by one by calling out your names. You can take a few minutes for this. Okay, are you guys ready to share your objectives? Should I start asking? All right, let's start off with who do we have first? We have Mr. Ali Afridi.
Yes, sir.
Ali, are you there? Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
yes, by improving pedestrian and cyclist safety by reducing related accidents by 20% in high-risk area in 1 month.
Can you repeat that, please, Ali? Sorry.
Improve pedestrian and cyclist safety by reducing related accidents by 20% in high-risk area within 2 months.
Within 2 months. Okay. So you have mentioned reducing the traffic accident rates by 20% within 2 months.
Yes.
It's a
Improving.
smart objective, but whether it is achievable or not, I cannot say within 2 months, because for 2 months you're going to have to do a lot of changes to reduce things by 20%. But yes, that can be acceptable as a smart objective. Then we have Ali Almas. Ali, do you have any objective in mind? Smart objective? Okay, I think Ali is not answering there. So let's go to Akdas Nadeem. Akdas,
Yes, sir. So, in the road safety job, we have to face number of inspection, daily inspection, or we have
very
number of
good,
vehicles.
very good.
So I can make create my objective like this. If we have like number 50 number of vehicle is to inspect in coming days, so I can make my objective that in 2 months, or we can say 1 month, I have to like categorize the number of vehicle in that way, so I can achieve the all inspection in the 1 month time period to make it like productive and progressive.
Very good. You can do that. That's another way of putting it is like, one, you guys are performing complete inspection of vehicles, right? And then there is another thing which is known as spot checks. Okay. So usually you can set a target, or you can set up an objective of achieving X number of spot checks per month. Okay. So that can be called as smart objectives, or you can say that you will ensure inspections for all 50 vehicles to be completed within the 2 months or within the quarter. So yes, that is a good objective, Akas, and good thing that is a proactive one, and that's a leading indicator.
Thank you.
Okay. Who else is there? Akas is done. Then we have Khan. Muhammad Khalid. Khalid. Okay, Khalid is not answering. Atul, what about you? Atul, do you have any objective in mind?
Sir, to reduce road traffic incidents, I can conduct TBTs as well as the campaigns to
Very
giving the
good.
drivers awareness about so that they will not forget.
Very good. So you can rephrase it so that it is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So you can say that our
I can
objective is
reduce
to
by
raise
15
awareness
percentage
among
within 12
workers
months.
by conducting 4 road safety campaigns within the year 2025 or within the next 12 months. Okay. So that is putting words in such a way that you are meeting the SMART criteria. So it is
Yes.
measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay. Okay, so that is another good objective. Tanveer, any objective you can come up with?
Yes, sir. Similar to the one my colleague has just mentioned, a training program. I will be specific to defensive driving training. So I'll make sure that in a certain quarter, my message is passed through to the maximum drivers on defensive driving technique in a
Very
certain
good,
quarter.
very good, very good. So there are so many objectives that you can set. Here's another: reducing road traffic accidents by 70, roadside accident by 70% by installation of DMS and real-time monitoring. Yeah, So there are a lot of objectives that you can set, and when you are setting these objectives, you need to make sure that you are aligning those objectives with your organization's road safety policy. So here are some objectives that you can set. Let's say when we talk about reduction in road traffic accidents, okay, you can reduce the number of road traffic accidents by involving company vehicles by 25% within the next 12 months. So this is a smart objective. It covers the time period, it covers the percentage, it covers the quantification, it is specific. Achieve zero fatalities and serious injuries in company related driving activities within this year. Again, I personally don't agree with this objective, zero. But yes, you can consider this as a quantifiable objective because you mentioned a quantity. It is specific to fatalities and injuries related to company-related driving activities. So that is also be known as a, it can be called a SMART objective as well. Then frequency rates. Do you guys calculate frequency rate for your organizations? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
RTA frequency rate. Which formula are you guys using?
The same as I can see on the screen, sir. Road traffic
Yeah.
accident times 1 million and then the total kilometers.
Exactly. So now this 1 million, can anybody tell me why this 1 million is used? Why do you use 1 million as the multiplication factor? So basically this factor, it represents how you're going to express your frequency rate. What do we mean by frequency? Frequency rate gives us a number of how frequently road traffic accidents are happening. Okay. Or we use it for LTIs, we use it for fatalities, we use it for RTAs. So basically, a frequency rate tells you how frequently that certain type of accident is happening. What do we mean by frequently? It means in a year or in X number of man hours or in X number of kilometers driven, this incident is happening again and again. Now, the 1 million that we are using here, this multiplication factor, okay. So let's say we have one what you call it road traffic accident, okay, and we have driven 2 million kilometers, okay. So we will multiply it by 1 million. So 1 into 1 million divided by 2 million, that will be 0.5. Okay. What does that say? When you express that frequency rate, you will say our frequent road traffic accident frequency rate is 0.5 RTAs per million man hours. Okay. So when you are expressing your frequency rate, this factor is what you're going to use to express it. So you are measuring your frequency rate per million kilometers driven or per million man hours work, whatever you are using. So here your frequency rate is based on every million kilometers driven. Okay. Some people will multiply it by 200,000. Okay. And when you express it, you will say that your frequency rate is X number of RTAs per 200,000 kilometers driven. Okay. So this is how you're going to express it. Now, why are we using this 1 million? 1 million usually basically is a factor. This is a common number which normal companies they drive within a year. Okay. So this 1 million basically that is where it comes from. And when you are expressing it, you express it in terms of the million and the 200,000 kilometers driven. Okay. So number of RTAs multiplied by 1 million divided by kilometers driven. If your organization only drives 100,000 kilometers in a year, can you use 1 million as a multiplication factor? No, you'll use 100,000. Okay. So it depends on you basically where you're working, which organization you're working with. Usually in ADNOC, we use 1 million because this is the average number of kilometers an EPC contractor drives in a year, and definitely they'll be using it across the board, so everyone expresses it in the same figures um, in terms of the multiplication factor. So yes, this is another objective. So setting the RTA frequency rate, that is also another objective. So you can set your RTA frequency rate and you can reduce it by X number every year. Then you can set objectives related to driver performance and behavior. Now, driver performance and behavior is very, very important, and setting objectives related to that is very useful as well. One such objective is to ensure 100% of company drivers complete defensive driving training within the next 6 months or within the next year. Or you might have this objective before they join or within the first few months of their joining in the organization. Another driver performance related behavior is to reduce incidents of overspeeding violations by 40%. Now, almost every logistics company or any organization which has major road traffic factors, or they have a lot of road safety issues, they install a vehicle monitoring system or vehicle monitoring devices in their vehicles. Okay, so usually, especially people working in ADNOC, they'll be familiar with this, the in-vehicle monitoring system. Now, the in-vehicle monitoring system, it is a system which is fitted in your vehicles, and it gives you an overview of the driver's behavior. Okay, it can identify the instances of drivers overspeeding. It can identify and capture the instances of drivers doing harsh braking. It can capture instances of drivers not wearing seat belts and many other what you call it driving behavior categories can be defined in this. So one of the objectives that you can set if you have IVMS fitted in your vehicles or in-vehicle monitoring system in your vehicles, you can set an objective to reduce instances of speeding violation by 40%. Okay. You can also set an objective to achieve 90% score in the quarterly driver behavior audit. So you can have driving behavior audits, or you can set a target related to your RAG reports. So from the IVMS, you can generate a RAG report, and there are many other reports you can generate from IVMS, and you can use those metrics and you can set objectives for your driver performance and behavior. Okay, another objective which you can set is related to your vehicle condition and maintenance. One of the objectives could be to ensure 100% of fleet vehicles undergo scheduled maintenance with no missed intervals. So vehicle maintenance is a very, very important aspect of road safety, and we need to ensure that all the vehicles are maintained at regular intervals. So one objective which we can set is obviously related to maintenance of vehicles. Reduce breakdown incidents due to mechanical failure by 20% over the next year. So this is another objective which you can set. Again, all of these objectives are smart objectives because they are measurable, they are specific, they are achievable, they are relevant, and they are time bound as well.
Sir, I have
Come.
one question, if you don't mind. Sorry
Yes,
to cut you off.
yeah.
So, in the previous slide, maybe not relevant, but I just would like to inquire about one thing regarding this frequency rate, road traffic accident frequency rate. Is there a target that we should be keeping our frequency rate below that number, or how does that
Yes, basically, again, as I discussed earlier, when you set targets, you usually benchmark your performance against two things. You benchmark your performance or measure your performance against your own previous performance. Okay. So whatever your previous year the RTA frequency rate was, you can set your target by reducing it by 10%. Let's say last year your RTA frequency rate was 1.75. Okay. So you can reduce it and set your RTA frequency rate to 1.5, let's say. Okay. So reduce your previous what you call it performance. Sorry, it's not reducing the frequency rate of your previous year and reduce it by 10%, and you can set that as your target. Or second way is to compare it with international standards, or to compare your frequency rate with your competitors. Okay. So if you can get frequency rates for other competitors in the market who are doing the same business as you, gather their frequency rate, get an average, and set your target as that average. Okay. Or you can look at the international organizations. You can set their frequency rate as the benchmark. For example, IOGP is one such organization. They gather data from across the world. Okay. And that data includes fatalities, LTIs, and I'm sure they have RTA frequency rates as well. In fact, let me just confirm this. It's good that you raised this, and this has come to my mind as well. So IOGP is the website. So if you go to this website, IOGP, and you can download their publications. Um, Statistics. Okay, these are reliability statistics. Let's mention road safety statistics. No, they don't have anything in road safety. Let's put fatalities. In fatalities, I'm sure I saw that they are they are dividing it into various categories. There are a section on their publication which is not here. Safety performance indicators. Yes, so if you basically register here, they will send you their statistics by email. I have these in my office, and I will share these with you. I'll share these statistics from my office computer because I have downloaded them. I'm not sure whether RTAs are included, but certainly there is fatalities which are included. And in the causes, they mentioned road traffic accidents. So I'm sure they use road traffic accident frequency rate, and they do have benchmarks for that. So if you're working in an oil and gas company, you can compare your performance with IOGP. or whatever organization you are working in, it's important to identify the frequency rates of your competitors and compare your performance to them. So these are different ways of setting your targets, Tanveer. Is that clear?
Clear, sir. Thank you. Clear.
I'll share those statistics with you. That will hopefully help you because I remember seeing the RTF frequency rates in IOGP. I'm
That's
sure.
useful, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, compliance with legal requirements that can also be set as an objective to achieve full compliance with national road safety laws with zero penalties or zero fines related to traffic violations. That can be another target or objective you can set. Conducting quarterly audits to ensure vehicles have valid registrations. That is another important objective which can be set. Of journey and fatigue management objectives can be set as well. One such objective could be to implement journey management plans for all long distance travel and ensure 100% compliance, reduce driver fatigue related incidents by 30% by enforcing maximum driving hours for mandatory periods, mandatory rest periods as well. That can be considered. Then you can consider the carbon emissions as well. Reduce CO2 emissions from fleet operations by 10%, um, optimization and eco driving practices. Participate in at least 2 community road safety awareness campaigns each year. Now, this is becoming more and more relevant. Environment and community impact. And I'll tell you why this is becoming more and more relevant because in 2024, UAE issued a new federal law. Okay, and that federal law is on climate change. I think it's federal law number 14. Let me just do a small check on that as well. In 2024, UAE issued a new climate change law, and that climate change law is now in effect. And it's very important that we yes, so it's federal law number 11 of 2024 on reduction of the climate change effects. Okay, so this is a federal law which was issued in 2024. This law basically states that we need to make sure that our operations do not have an adverse impact on the climate. Okay, so reducing CO2 emissions from fleet operations is a very good objective to set, and this will also ensure your compliance with the legislation as well. And community and road safety awareness campaign. This is also another good initiative or an objective. Then you can look at incident reporting and investigation, ensure 100% of road accident incidents are reported and investigated within a certain time frame, and develop and implement corrective actions for all road safety incidents within 7 days of the
So sorry
investigation.
to interrupt.
Yeah, please.
Actually,
Yes.
this CO2 emissions, this IVMS takes a huge role in it, right?
Yes.
Uh, for reducing the CO2 emission.
IVMS, I'm not sure how IVMS you can say because
Because of the smooth handling of the vehicle.
smooth handling of the vehicle, but CO2 emissions are better controlled by regular maintenance. If your vehicle is maintained properly, it's not going to burn your fuel. It's not going to give out black smoke. So if your vehicle is not maintained properly and it's giving out black smoke, then definitely your CO2 emissions are very high. So there's a lot of carbon being emitted in your exhaust. If your vehicles are maintained properly, then definitely you are what you call it. I mean, your carbon emissions are reduced. IVMS helps because IVMS will identify idling of the vehicle. Okay, So if you leave your engine running, okay, when it's not being driven, that is called idling, and idling generates obviously unnecessary carbon emissions. So definitely by monitoring drivers through IVMS, you can reduce their emissions. Definitely overspeeding, harsh acceleration, that is also going to burn a lot of fuel very rapidly, so obviously that is going to increase your carbon emission. So yes, IVMS definitely does play a role in reducing the CO2 emissions from your vehicles. You're right, Atul.
Just to add on that, sir, the prime example that we have these days in the new construction vehicles, diesel engine vehicles,
Yeah.
there's an addition of AdBlue liquid. With the
Yes.
primary objective for the AdBlue is to reduce the carbon emission. So that has been added to the new vehicles, and it is an international standard and a requirement also in the European countries. And
Exactly.
it is seen in the UAE also, as a lot of vehicles are imported in. So that is an
Yes.
prime example.
So this is basically yes, you're right, Tanvir. So basically, I mean, the manufacturers are now even they are advising the users to use low carbon fuels. Okay, so low carbon fuels, which I mean fuels which will lead to lesser CO2 emissions, they should be used in the vehicles. That is another what you call it way of reducing your CO2 emissions. Um, is anybody calculating the carbon footprint in their organization from the vehicles? That's the next step. That's another important thing which can be implemented is based on the type of fuel you are using. There are certain formulas which you can use to calculate the amount of carbon being generated from your vehicle emissions. So I have not yet come across any solid, what you call it, measuring tool for this, but this is definitely uh, an important aspect of the upcoming changes with the legal requirements are introducing. So we need to consider that as well. So definitely yes, um, as per the legal requirements, we need to manage our road safety operations to reduce the vehicle emissions. Okay, so that was leadership and commitment. As we discussed, policy is one way to demonstrate commitment from the management. Objectives is one way. If you can get your management on board, you can set some good objectives related to road safety, and you can get them to endorse those objectives, and that can obviously help you in your improving your health and road safety performance. Now, another way of getting your management commitment is by implementing a road safety policy. Okay. So the management, they must create a road safety policy that number one aligns with the organization's goals. So basically the policy that you set, road safety policy that you set for your organization, it must be aligned with your organization's goals. Whatever your objectives and goals are, your policy must refer to those objectives. It should also provide a framework for setting road traffic safety objectives and targets. So basically, when you're writing a road traffic safety policy or a road safety policy, you need to give a reference to how you're going to be setting objectives and targets related to road safety. It should include a commitment to satisfy applicable legal requirements. I'm saying legal, but it can be any kind of requirements. Okay. So, what are the applicable requirements to your organization? First and foremost, the legal requirements that you must follow, they are applicable requirements. Then you might have certain clients. So, your clients, they might have certain contractual requirements that you need to follow. And you might have your internal management system requirements that you need to follow. Okay. So there need to be a commitment to satisfy applicable requirements. So your management must demonstrate that if there are any kind of requirements related to obviously road safety, road RTS or road traffic safety, whatever you call it, then the management must demonstrate a commitment to satisfy those legal requirements. And this must be written in your policy. And remember, guys, when you go for auditing, when you review a policy, you need to check the policy for these items. You need to check whether it is aligned with the goals. You need to check whether it gives a framework for setting objectives. You need to check whether there is a commitment to satisfy applicable requirements. And you need to verify whether there is a commitment of continuous improvement of the road safety management system. So when you go for auditing, all of these items must be in the policy. If anything is missing from the policy, if any commitment is not there in the policy, you can raise a non-conformity. Okay, because you can say that this clause, I think this is clause 6, sorry, 5.12, this is missing. Okay, so whatever clause it is, you can refer to that and you can say that this clause is not being fulfilled, hence it is a non-conformity. So simply non-conformity is non-fulfillment of a requirement, and if a certain requirement of the standard is not fulfilled, it means that that is a non-conformity. Okay, so the policy shall be accessible as information that has been documented. Now, yesterday we discussed about documented information. So what does this mean? It means that your policy must be available in the form of a document. Okay. So if a company does not have a road safety policy or a road traffic safety policy, and you go and audit them against ISO 39001, you can issue them a non-conformity for not not documenting their road safety policy. Okay. Now, you should also check when auditing the requirements of the standard. It says the policy shall be shared among members of the organization. Okay. So this policy should be shared among members of the organization. How do you guys share policy with the members of your organization? Guys?
Through orientations, induction
Very
trainings.
good. Orientation, inductions, toolbox talk, by posting them on notice boards, by putting them in your internet or your intranet, by sending them through email to everyone. Okay. But one important aspect people miss out, especially in the Middle East where we are working, is that the policy is usually written in English. And the majority of the workers coming to work in the UAE are from the Indian subcontinent or from the Philippines or from other areas where people don't understand English. And also the primary language spoken in the UAE is Arabic. Okay. So if you share an English policy to members of your organization, okay, this can be raised by an auditor. You shared it with your members of your organization, but they are unable to understand it. So the main purpose is not fulfilled. So it's very important to get these policies translated into various languages. As a minimum, you should get it translated into Arabic, Urdu, Hindi, because this makes the bulk of your workforce. Okay. So it's very important to translate your policies into different languages so people can understand them. And the policy should be accessible when suitable to interested parties. The best way of doing this is putting it on your website. Okay. So whenever a third party interested party wants to look at your policy, they can go and look at it on your website. Okay. So these are various ways of communicating your road safety policy to various people. Okay, organization, roles, duties, and authorities. Okay, roles and responsibilities must be assigned. Now, top management, they must guarantee the organization's roles and responsibilities and authorities for key jobs are assigned and disseminated throughout the organization. Okay. So basically, when you develop a management system, there are certain things which there are certain responsibilities that you have to assign. Okay. So if you make a management system and you have no one to perform or to implement that management system, then that management system is useless. So definitely when you establish a management system, you need people, you need roles that are going to carry out or implement that management system. So you need to have a hierarchy in place. You need to have a structure in place. Usually that is done by establishing a organizational chart. So you make an organization chart and you can assign roles over there. Then you need to assign those roles or positions that you have identified in the organization chart. You need to set responsibilities or duties for those people. How do you do that? You do that normally by developing JDs, job description, or PPKs, position profiler kits. Okay. So you need to identify the job description of the roles that you have included in the org chart. Okay. What is an organization chart? An organization chart basically is a chart which has various positions. You will have, let's say, a lead road safety coordinator. You will have road safety officers reporting to him. Then he'll be reporting to a HSE manager or logistics manager or whatever your structure is. So you need to establish various roles, and for each role, you need to assign the duties or responsibilities, and you can do that through a job description. Okay. And that is one way of doing it. You can put it in any procedure, in any policy, etc. Because there are various many ways of fulfilling the requirements. Okay. Now, if keep this in mind when you're auditing, you also need to be flexible, guys. If an organization does not have an organization chart, will you raise a non-conformity or not? Important question here, guys. If an organization, if you go and audit an organization and they do not have an organization chart, will you raise a non-conformity or not?
No, sir,
Why?
because it's an opportunity for improvement. So,
You can say it's an opportunity for improvement, but the main thing I want you guys to understand here is you can only raise a non-conformity against a requirement in the standard. The
yes,
standard does not require you to have an organization chart. Okay. What does the standard tell you? The standard says that the top management must guarantee the responsibilities and authorities are assigned. How do they assign that? It is up to them. They can assign it by simply giving a job title to someone. They don't need to have an organization chart. They can just list the job titles. They can create a list of job titles. These are the job titles within our organization, and they will do these duties. Okay. So it's not necessary to have an organization chart. Why? Because the standard does not tell you to do so. Standard tells you that you must have responsibilities assigned, you must have roles defined, and it should be disseminated through the organization. So there are various ways you can do that, and everyone is free to do however they like. Okay. So top management must delegate responsibility and authority for number one, ensuring compliance with international standard for RDS management system. So this must be in the responsibilities that have been delegated. Okay. So the organization must have someone who is who has been assigned or delegated to ensure compliance with the RTS management system standard. Okay. And provide upper management with performance reports and recommendations for improvement. Okay. So these two items must be in the responsibilities of the people that you have assigned for managing road safety in your organization. Okay, so next phase is planning. Planning is very, very important. When you're establishing a management system, you need to plan things very, very carefully. Okay, so the company must follow a process that evaluates its current RTS performance. Okay, it should also identify opportunities and hazards. Okay, so related to road traffic safety, you need to identify the hazards or the risks and opportunities. How do you normally do that? You do that by conducting a risk assessment. Okay. Now, a lot of organizations, they lump risk assessment or related to road safety into their usual risk assessments. That is also acceptable as long as you've identified the road safety hazards in that risk assessment. But usually, organizations who have logistics, they usually develop journey risk assessments. For example, let's say you are working in an organization which is involved in haulage of soil or in haulage of material, let's say aggregate or concrete, and you have to carry out journeys on a daily basis. Okay, so the best way in that situation to identify the hazards and opportunities is to conduct a journey risk assessment. You carry out a route survey, you identify what are the hazards within that route, where are the overhead lines, where are the overhead bridges, what is the maximum height, how much traffic is there on the road, okay, where are the intersections, are the intersections at the same level, or are the intersections level separated. So all of these things have to be considered in the risk assessment. Just identifying generic hazards that inadequate driving behavior and overspeeding as a hazard, these are, I mean, for construction activities you can do such kind of risk assessments to cover road safety hazards. But when you're into big logistic organizations, you need to carry out detailed risk assessments through carrying out journey risk assessments, or call it whatever you want. You need to make sure that all the hazards associated with your road transport operations are identified and controlled properly. Okay, so also because when you are planning, you need to set various controls in place. And you can only set controls in place when you are fully aware of what the hazards associated with your organization are and what are the opportunities associated with your organization. Also, you need to make sure that you choose RTS performance characteristics to improve and assess in the long term potential. So basically, you need to identify what road safety performance characteristics you need to improve. Now, here you can relate this directly to your objectives. So, the characteristics of your road safety performance, it can include your number of traffic accidents, it can include your driver behavior, it can include your compliance with the legal requirements, it can include your training or awareness about road safety, and you can link all of this with each other. So, you can derive these performance indicators from your objectives. Establish suitable RTS goals and targets and plans to reach them. Now, when we were setting objectives, we talked about setting objectives. Now, here in the planning phase, you need to develop action plans. You need to convert those targets and goals into tangible actions which you can take and assign proper dates, assign target dates, assign responsible person. And this is how you develop your action plans. So you need to translate your objectives at the planning stage. Now you need to identify this is the objective, what actions am I going to take to achieve that objective? For example, you set an objective to reduce your road traffic safety accidents by 10%. How are you going to reduce it? What actions are you going to take? You can say, okay, I'm going to uh, conduct an analysis of the previous accidents. I'm going to make sure that all the root causes of the previous accidents are addressed. Actions are taken to address them. So you think of tangible actions that you will take in order to achieve those objectives and targets. Okay, this is where you start your action plans. When you develop your action plans and you start working towards achieving those objectives and targets. Risks and opportunities, very, very important actions. You need to make sure that you plan your actions that you are going to take to address risks and opportunities. So when planning for the RTS management system, you need to identify the opportunities and dangers that must be addressed in order to, number one, ensure that the road traffic safety management system achieves its intended outcomes. So what are the intended outcomes of the road traffic safety management system? Obviously, to reduce the traffic incidents, to improve your driver behavior and all that. So whatever actions you have identified in your risks assessment, you need to make sure that those actions are planned and implemented properly. Okay. So these actions are going to help you prevent unwanted impacts. It's going to help you strive for continuous improvement and continuous development. So you need to plan the actions to address all of the risks and opportunities that you identify. So once you develop a risks and opportunities register, okay, or you carry out the journey risk assessment, whatever you call it, you can give various names to it. Whatever when you carry out the risk assessment for your organization, you need to identify what the hazards are, what the associated risks and opportunities are, and then what actions are going to be implemented, and those actions will be directed at both risks and opportunities. There might be various opportunities that you can use. For example, one opportunity related to road safety, that could be carpooling. Okay, instead of giving a separate car to every employee in your organization, you bring in the concept of carpooling. Assign 4 or 5 passengers to one vehicle, or instead of giving small vehicles to various 4 or 5 people, assign staff buses. Okay, so that's an opportunity, because number one, you're saving on rent, saving money on fuel, you're reducing your emissions. So this is a huge opportunity related to road safety. Similarly, you can think of other opportunities related to road safety, and this should be part of your risk and opportunity register, or your risk assessment, or your journey management risk assessment, whatever you call it. The standard does not define how you need to do it, but it tells you what needs to be done. So you can do it in any way you like. And obviously, you need to make sure that these actions are implemented and they are effective as well. Okay, RTS performance factors. Obviously, you need to make sure you need to identify the factors which are going to be used to measure your road traffic safety performance. Okay, so the organization shall select RTS performance factors from the list of risk exposure factors, the final safety outcome factors, and intermediate safety outcome factors, depending on the organization's environment and the risks and opportunities recognized. So, based on the risks and opportunities that you have identified, you can identify your performance factors from those risks and opportunities. Okay, so the risk factors could include, number one, distance traveled and road traffic capacity, including the vehicle and user types. So you can identify um, your RTS performance factor based on the distance you're traveling. Okay, or the volume of products and services offered by your organization. For example, number of trips you conduct. Okay, so we were talking about RTA frequency rate, and we were measuring that RTA frequency rate based on kilometers driven. So instead of kilometers driven, you can base your RTA frequency rate on number of trips conducted. So for example, you do 1,000 trips of hauling aggregate material every day. So you can base your performance factor on number of trips or the number of vehicles that you have. So it depends on your organization, the context of your organization, on how you are going to establish that. Or you can use the final outcome measure. What is the final outcome? Final outcome could be the fatalities and serious injuries. Okay. Final outcome is when you are basing your performance on accidents. Okay. When you are measuring your performance against accident, this is again a reactive measure. Okay. This is a lagging performance indicator. You have leading performance indicators and you have lagging performance indicators. So the final safety outcome measures such as fatalities, number of fatalities and serious injuries, these are your lagging indicators. You can use them as your performance factors as well. Or you can use your intermediate safety outcome factors related to safe planning, design. These are proactive or leading safety indicators. Design and use of the roads, conditions of entry and exit of these products and services. For example, road design and safe speed, especially considering the separation. So basically, you can make sure that you are identifying the speed limits at the roads that you are using, proper usage of road, which depends on vehicle type, user, cargo, and equipment. So you can identify roads which are um, designed for carrying heavy loads, roads which are not designed for carrying heavy loads, and you can make sure that the vehicles are specified for the routes that they are meant to use. Use of personal safety equipment such as seat belts, side restraints, cycle helmets, etc. So there are various types of performance factors which you can utilize. You can decide on this in your planning phase. Okay, RTS objectives and planning to achieve them. In order to improve road traffic safety performance, you need to make sure that you are continuously improving your performance. You need to measure the performance factors. You need to monitor those performance factors and make sure that they are compared with your objectives. And you can compare whether you are achieving your objectives or not. And it's also a good practice to model your factors relevant to the public and private sector to increase the overall target and reduce the cost of traffic accidents and injuries. Okay, guys. So we've covered clauses 5 and 6 today, and I think that's enough for today because it's almost 9. So we'll wind up the session for today. We'll end it here, and tomorrow we'll start off with the next clause, which is clause number 7. We only got 4 clauses to go in the standard, so hopefully tomorrow we can finish the remaining 4 clauses, and hopefully then we will get into the auditing of the things. All right, guys, do we have any questions related to today's session? Anything you guys would like to ask or anything you guys would like to add? Everything clear, guys? Yes, Khan, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Clear. And Atlas?
Sir,
Yes,
can you tell me with an example, like calculating the road traffic accident frequency rate?
Okay, let me open my Word file. So let's say you have driven in 1 month 1 point, not one, let's say 1,234,000 kilometers. Okay, you can see my screen
Yes, yes.
in May. Okay, so kilometers driven in May is 1,234,000. Okay, number of RTAs in May is equal to 3 road traffic accidents are there. So RTA frequency rate is going to be is equal to number of RTAs multiplied by 1 million. How many zeros are there in a million? 6 zeros. So in a million, there are 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1. So this is 1 million. So the formula for RTA frequency rate is number of RTAs into 1 million divided by kilometers driven. So the RTF frequency rate for the month of May
It's 2.43.
is equal to 3 multiplied by 1 million, comma, 13 divided by 1,234,000, sorry, not point, comma, 234,000. Okay, let's open my calculator.
So it's 2.43.
2.43 exactly. So this is 3 multiplied by 1 million. 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sorry. Divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0, 0. So 2.43. So your RTF frequency rate is equal to 2.43. So you can say that your RTF frequency rate is 2.43 RTAs per million man hours for the month of May. Okay. So this is your RTF frequency rate. Is that clear? Atul?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
Easy. Huh? So this is simple. This is how you calculate the RTF frequency rate. And it's important to express it in this factor, your multiplication factor. If you're driving millions of kilometers, use million as a multiplication factor. If you're
Sir,
driving
you,
100,000 of kilometers, use 200,000 of as a multiplication factor.
okay, it's totally depends upon the kilometer driven.
Depends on
So if
kilometers driven, or your client might dictate that. For example, in AdNoc, this is standard. This is what you have to use. 1 million.
so
Okay.
you have calculated this for a month. So if it's
For a
for an
month.
year, is it the same?
For a year, yeah, the same number of RTAs in the year multiplied by 1 million divided by number of kilometers driven in the year. So वो
Okay,
सारा
okay, sir, clear.
ठीक है क्या? Okay. So this is very
Okay,
simple.
thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions, guys? All right, so I think there are, Zia, you want to say something?
No, sir, clear. It's clear, sir.
Clear? चलें ठीक है. All right, guys. So we'll wind up the session now. Thank you very much for coming up today, and hopefully we'll carry on tomorrow at the same time, and then we'll try to wind up the standard tomorrow, and then we'll finish the auditing in the next few days as well. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining. Take care, and hopefully see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Good night, sir. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir, good night.
Bye, sir. Bye, sir. Bye.